This is the 3D VIEW-MASTER adventure, the $6 Million Man. VIEW-MASTER Reel 1, Picture 1. In front of a huge television screen at headquarters of the super secret Office of Strategic Operations, the briefing of Steve Austin was proceeding swiftly. Briefing officer was OSO Chief Oscar Goldman, Steve's friend and relentless taskmaster. To put it bluntly, Oscar was saying, "You'll have a snowball's chance in hell of coming out alive. You're up against probably the most diabolical criminal mind in history, a man who goes by the name of Quayle, real identity unknown." He paused. "God knows I hate to send you in there, Steve, but there's only one man who stands a chance of getting inside. Quayle's electronic mountain, and that's you. After all, you're the only $6 million bionic man we've got." Responding to Steve's nod of assent, he went on, "I'll turn you over to Joe Alabama for a cram training course. You've got to learn a few tricks even you can't do." Picture 2. Steve possessed phenomenal physical powers thanks to the work of a small army of medical men. Using advanced bionic techniques, they had virtually reconstructed him after a crash had nearly destroyed him. Even so, Joe Alabama, the OSO's super coach, demanded the impossible of him and got it. First, by dint of endless and exhausting drill, Steve learned to hurl a grappling hook and rope to incredible heights with pinpoint accuracy. Next, Joe explained the operation of a tiny atomic-powered drill. "This little gizmo," he said, "will get you through 2 feet of solid concrete to where the real action is." Picture 3. Next, Joe set about turning his pupil into a pole vaulter, the like of which the sports world had never dreamed of. The secret was an ingeniously telescoped pole with triple the ordinary spring. After hours of intensive practice, he was ready for one of the first of the obstacles he would encounter when he reached the mountain stronghold on Quayle's remote island, a 20-foot steel mesh fence carrying a lethal charge of electricity. After that came a few fast sessions in the piloting of the torpedo that would carry him to the island. Picture 4. 2 days later, from a submarine lying well offshore, the torpedo sped toward its rocky target, an inlet at one edge of the mysterious Quayle's domain. Inside the projectile lay Steve Austin, his computer-like mind rehearsing yet again each step of the hazardous mission ahead. All he or OSO knew was that in less than 24 hours from now, the master criminal would launch an operation with catastrophic consequences to the peace of the world. It was Steve's job to find out what it was and to stop it. Picture 5. As he leaped from his strange craft, the secret agent swept the inhospitable shore with his bionic eye and quickly spotted a cave that would hide the torpedo. In a few moments, exerting his phenomenal strength, he had dragged the craft to the pre-arranged hiding place and emerged again with his small bundle of gear. Looming above was his first obstacle, a towering cliff. In spite of his training, the first cast with the grappling hook missed, but the second slipped caught again and held. Hand over hand, he began the almost vertical climb up the cliff face. As he climbed, he mentally reviewed what the television had showed him he would find upon reaching the top. First, there would be a barren plateau with little or no cover. Until he reached the forest edge, he would be as visible to guesting eyes as a fly on a window pane. Beyond the forest would be a deep canyon then at last Quail's Mountain itself, with the maze of pipelines feeding its boilers, its nuclear reactor, its subterranean complex of laboratories, control rooms and sophisticated electronic devices. And at the heart of it all, Quail himself, the spider in the web, the ultimate enemy. Picture 6. Even as he climbed, he thought of the next major obstacle, the 20-foot fence. The very act of vaulting it might betray his presence to those inside, for the place was alive with radiation detection devices, and for a few seconds he'd be high enough from ground level to trigger one. Well, if his number was up, that was it. After a score of missions for Oscar's outfit, Steve was becoming fatalistic. Reaching the plateau, he located the pipeline that would lead him to his goal. He began to run faster than all other creatures of flesh and bone. The Bionic man was on his way. Picture 7. Spotting the fence long before he reached it, Steve shifted his backpack as he ran, drew out a vaulting pole and pressed a button that set it sliding out to its full limber length. Nearing the towering fence, he slowed to regular vaulting speed. Then with a wrench that tore at his shoulder muscles, he went soaring up, up, up and over. VIEW-MASTER Reel 2, Picture 1. Next, to break into the subterranean stronghold itself. A short run brought him to the concrete structure through which the pipeline passed. Quickly he assembled the little drill and set it to work. Because he might have been detected already, every minute, every second might mean the difference between success and failure, between life and death. The concrete yielded to the drill, but slowly, and the mental pressure to hurry proved too great, and suddenly the drill bit snapped. Wasting no precious time in self-recrimination, Steve cast about for another way in. Picture 2. In a matter of seconds he found it, the steel facing of a ventilator shaft. No ordinary man would have had a chance, but Steve's bionic fingers found a crack between steel and concrete. Slowly, inexorably, they began peeling the metal back. Even as he worked, a sixth sense told him that in the labyrinth below the alarm had been given, that even though he was a hunted man, and sixth sense or not, it didn't add up that a master of organization and technology like Quail could be so easily approached. Nonetheless, Steve worked on and soon was able to slip into the shaft. But scarcely 100 feet along he encountered another obstacle. A steel grating barred his way into a light corridor which was sure to lead eventually to the nerve center of the stronghold and to Quail. What he would do when he got there, if he got there, was a mystery as the nature of the catastrophe he was here to avert. But he had to keep trying. He knelt in front of the grating, and once more his incredible, powerful hands set about their tasks. Picture 3. He soon made it into the corridor, but there his intuition quickly proved correct. The hunt was on. As he sped down the passageway, hidden photoelectric cells picked him up, flashing signals from checkpoint to checkpoint. From far off his ear caught the jangle of bells, the whine of sirens. Soon came the hum of an electric motor, louder, louder. A vehicle was approaching. Reversing himself, he tried to run, but for once his phenomenal speed was useless. Batteries of powerful searchlights pinpointed him, blinding him utterly. Powerless to run or fight, he could only stand like a steer in a slaughterhouse. He heard footsteps, heavy breathing, then something slammed against the side of his head and blackness came. Picture 4. He awoke, head throbbing, and focused first on a cruel face that had to be Quayle's, then on his companion, a dark beauty who was addressed as Violet. A sneer twisted her lips, and she said, "No use grilling him in the ordinary way. He's the hero type. Just leave him to me. I'll have him singing for you." Steve soon learned the girl was an expert at finding vital nerves and applying agonizing pressure clamps to each. Even as he grimaced with pain, though he caught his amazing words. "Go on writhing, scream a little, but listen. I'm an agent of Interpol. Time's running out. We've got less than an hour to prevent a catastrophe. Trust me, or we'll both die." Picture 5. While pretending to extract information, Violet talked, matching her scraps of information with his. "They have a laser setup," she said. "It's programmed to bounce a beam of a satellite at 1547 hours. What it will strike, I don't know, but I'm convinced it will threaten world peace. So, whoever you are, if there's anything you can do, any help you can call in, for God's sake, do it." He nodded. "Go back to them. Stall. Buy me a little time." Picture 6. Once she had gone, Steve exploded into action. Unleashing his power, he burst his bonds, smashed through the door, where he overpowered the guards, and within seconds had made his way to the underground laser control room. There he broke into the computer circuitry cabinet and made a swift but minutely comprehensive study of the laser programming, committing it all to memory, a feat beyond the capacity of ordinary men. With a grim smile, he then began altering the programming. So intense was his concentration that he failed to hear sounds from the corridor outside. His escape had been discovered. Violet suspected at once, had been seized, and Quayle's hatchet men were after him again. Picture 7. Before he could awake to the danger, he was surrounded by armed men. Quayle, standing behind the laser apparatus, smiled sardonically and flipped on a huge television receiver. "Since you two comrades are so interested in our affairs, you might as well have a look at the big picture. Before you die, that is." Steve kept his face impassive as he viewed the televised scene, a European embassy aviral with activity. Limousines arriving, guards saluting, flags flying. "Doomed men, everyone," Quayle said, malevolently. "The agreement they think they are about to sign is not to the licking of my clients. So," he gestured toward the deadly laser apparatus, "so they will not live to sign it. Very soon now a satellite will pass overhead. A laser beam will strike it, bounce back, and detonate explosives inside the embassy. History will know today as the last of the 4th of Julys. VIEW-MASTER Reel 3, Picture 1. His mind racing, Steve wished he could tell the girl he had reprogrammed the laser to destroy itself, but there wasn't time. Again he exploded into bionic action. A bone-cracking lunge disposed of the guards. Then he seized Violet in his arms, and a split second later was racing with her down the corridor, the master criminal's bellow of rage echoing pleasantly in his ear. Picture 2. To get clear of the blast he knew was coming, Steve carried the girl. With no chance to explain his tremendous speed down corridors, through huge pipes, retracing his own steps, and emerging at last from the ventilator shaft through which he had entered. "Now," he told her, managing a grin, "we'll really make tracks." And make tracks he did, once more at bionic speed. Not many moments later, the Interpol agent gasped with dismay as Steve set her down. Ahead loomed a towering fence. "We'll never get over that," she said. "It carries a 20,000-volt charge." But Steve had already prepared for this contingency. With the fence in mind, he had relieved one of the guards of his automatic pistol at the moment of launching the escape attempt. "Stand back," he cautioned. Picture 3. A double burst from the weapon opened a gaping hole, and once more they were off at hurricane speed. At the cliff's edge he tested a rope and grappling hook which were still in position. Commanding her to cling like a monkey, he grasped the rope and with a powerful kick out into space went sliding down like a circus aerialist to the shoreline far below. Once down, he paused long enough to explain what he had done during his brief interval alone in the laser control room. Now he glanced at his watch and peered upward. "Brace yourself," he told his companion. "The fireworks will start just about any second." She looked up at him in wonder. "What kind of man are you anyway?" she asked. "You look human, but—" Picture 4. Back in the laser control room, the countdown was underway. At the end of it, thousands of miles away, would come the blast that would slaughter half the world's diplomats and heads of state. Confident that Steve and Violet would soon be picked up, for there could be no escape from this island fortress, Quayle smiled malignantly as he fingered the trigger mechanism. 3, 2, 1, fire! A jet of smoke and steam shot from the control panel, accompanied by the sizzle and stench of melting metal, as Quayle and his chief aide recoiled in terror. Sparks, balls of flame leaped from wall to wall, and the room was made hideous by men's screams of pain and horror. An instant later, flames reached the power reactor, and this subterranean world began disintegrating. Picture 5. Instantly smoke, fire, steam, and deadly fume billowed through the labyrinth and burst from every aperture, including the shaft through which the fugitives had made their escape mere minutes before. Crouching at the base of the cliff, Steve and his fellow agent watched in awe as the cloud of smoke and fire rose high into the sky. He took her hand. "We're not out of the woods yet. This whole island's going up in smoke." Wasting no time, he recovered the torpedo, positioned the girl inside, and struggled into his wetsuit. "Sub's waiting offshore," he said. "Just steer the course I gave you. I'll do the rest." He grinned. "And don't ask me how." Picture 6. Oscar Goldman and the others aboard the sub watched the Holocaust in fear and consternation. How could there be any hope for Steve amid the dreadful destruction? Still they waited, hoping, praying, and at last were rewarded by the sight of the gleaming projectile as it sped through the sea toward them, powered by the bionically churning legs of the man who should have been destroyed but wasn't. Minutes later, when the craft's tiny hatch opened and a shapely Interpol agent emerged, the dumbfounded Oscar could only stare slack-jawed. At that point, Steve popped up from beneath the torpedo. "Mermaid, I picked up on the way, boss," he said. "Can I keep her?" Picture 7. As they relaxed over a glass of wine in the wardroom, Steve was getting really acquainted with his comrade in action. The fly in the soup was Oscar, who had been getting dispatches from Washington and was bursting to brief Steve on his next mission. "Thanks to you," he said. "The summit meeting was a huge success, and now—" "Oscar," Steve said at last, propelling him gently but irresistibly to the door. "You're forgetting that us secret agents have got a lot of secrets. Violet and I just won't be doing our jobs if we don't find out each other's." As he turned back, the girl smiled. "To begin with, I don't think I ever got your name." "You will," he said with a grin. "You will."